Chapter 1, is it about taste? Because if it were, then I have a question for you, Maggie. I looked toward the young woman seated before me. Her gaze remained steady, though no smile formed on her face. She simply nodded. Perhaps that meant yes. After all, I had promised to explain myself without stammering. Stretching my legs across the sofa was not meant to provoke anyone, despite the way her eyes lingered on them, frail now, no longer carrying the weight I once admired in myself. I closed my eyes for a moment, almost trying to restrain the truth I had hidden from her for so long. It has been said, I paused and breathed deeply before continuing, honey is sweet, but wine is delicious. My eyes drifted toward the empty glass resting on the table. The moment Maggie noticed it, her expression hardened. She quickly snatched the glass away from my reach. I followed the sound of her footsteps as she carried it into the dining room and placed it out of sight. Not until you explain what brought you here, I heard her grumble from a distance. At least call me mother, I almost pleaded, my eyes threatening to break into tears. She did not seem moved by it. The fire in her eyes only burned hotter, and perhaps she had every reason to look at me that way. How could I escape her anger and judgment? Maybe she had to hate me. I had never truly taught her what most things meant to a woman at such a delicate stage in life. Not that she would have listened anyway. Shortly after, she returned to her seat carrying nothing but a glass of water. She gently placed it on the table before speaking again. I am glad you did not speak about it. I stared at her in astonishment. That image was still trapped in her mind. Maybe there was no way she could erase it, the image of me drowning wildly in beer and whiskey. How could I convince her that I had never truly belonged to it? Her eyes still carried that redness, so fierce that attempting to look directly into them felt unbearable. Questions hung heavily in the air between us, clinging even to our breathing. That was when I realized it was finally time to speak to her like a mother should. It would sound like a confession better buried indoors until the right moment arrived, like all moments in life that bloom unexpectedly. But now, this felt like the only time left. Can you please just say what you wanted to say? Maggie's voice rose sharply. Maybe she did not understand how heavy the words I was about to utter truly were. The burden of carrying secrets that no one ever imagined would shape their lives. My eyes began to water because this pain did not only wound me, it awakened a terror I had carried for years, where life was no longer simply regret, but a taste of both bitterness and sweetness. Suddenly, the door flung open. A tall, chocolate-skinned man stepped inside wearing a blue shirt that matched his jeans. Even from a distance, his socks looked as though they carried the memory of sweat and exhaustion. His hair was uncombed, yet Maggie's grin instantly focused on what he carried in his hands. A black polythene bag. Whatever was inside it failed to catch my attention. Instead, I watched Maggie hurry toward him to welcome him home. Perhaps she had too. At least there were things she had learned on her own. After all, instinct teaches what lessons sometimes cannot. The man glanced at me briefly from across the room. Then I heard the argument begin almost immediately, rising together with the pounding of my heartbeat. Fear tightened around me the moment the front door slammed shut behind them. Soon enough, Maggie returned alone, looking even more furious than before. Did you two just fight? I asked carefully. She only stared at me. At least he would have come to greet his mother-in-law, I suggested weakly, though Maggie's expression only darkened further. Fred does not want you here, she said coldly. You better speak now or else you leave my house. The weight behind those words sank deep into me, and I felt it.